Industry is the ongoing work or study associated with a specific subject or figure. Industry is used in literature in many different ways. The way I thought this virtue is used best in literature is in directions. Directions are used in many different ways. They are used in cooking, putting things together, and getting places. Directions are very straightforward in what you are doing. People use directions for a reason, and that reason is to not waste time, which is the whole point of this virtue. The virtue of industry is all about not wasting time, which is extremely important, and if a person wastes too much time, they will not have time for the fun things in life. I see this virtue everywhere. As a teenager, there never seems to be enough time to do everything that has to get done. I try not to waste time at school and get as much of my homework done before I leave because no one wants to spend their free time doing homework. The use of industry is reflected in a lot of teenagers because we want to do what we want to do when we want. I spend time at soccer and swim practice because I enjoy these activities, and they keep me from wasting time doing nothing. Industry can be translated differently, because some would say that sports are a waste of time, and that I am not following the virtue industry, which is why I think it is such an important virtue, because there is no clear way to decide what is a waste of time and what is not. It would help us get a lot more done. If people apply it to their lives more often, they would get farther. Most teenagers come home from school and waste time on TV or the computer instead of doing their homework. If we did that instead, we would probably have better grades in school and a better education altogether. We should apply this to our lives for reasons so we will do well. If we waste our time quite often, then we will never do anything, but we should spend time on stuff that will benefit us. Industry is one of the most practical of Franklin's virtues. Wasting time just sounds like a bad idea. You're not supposed to waste any time. But how can you go through a whole day without wasting any time on anything that is not important? You can see why a person who wastes no time would be very successful, though. I find my day very full, but I still have time to do things I enjoy. I go to school all day, and I try to fill the whole day by finishing all of my homework before school is over. After school, I go to cheerleading practice, and after that, I can pretty much do whatever I want. I try not to just sit in front of the television like a zombie, but I usually go spend time with friends or family. I consider this time well spent. The virtue can be interpreted in many ways, seen as some people consider different activities a waste of time. As long as you think what you do is important, you have accomplished this virtue. In my personal opinion, industry is used in many different ways. An example of this virtue in my life would have to be school. School is very hectic for me because I'm constantly busy with being in a sport and working. School is just another thing on top of my schedule. Managing and not wasting time is very important when it comes to all these things. I barely ever have any free time, so I do not waste the time I do have. Industry is one of the most important virtues because it applies to all others. You cannot do all the other virtues if you do not manage your time well. For example, you cannot be clean and organized if you do not set aside time to do so. Directions are just one of the many ways that industry is used in literature, because it saves you time by instructing exactly what you should do. Saving time is important to manage activities in daily life too.